passion.
Yes.
Talk to me about what your connection with or what your exposure has been to the child welfare system.
Right. Well, I will say my connection's somewhat limited. I work for the sheriff's office right now as a legal advisor. So we have our juvenile intake and assessment center where our child in need of care children come in and they are processed and they have to find placement for them for a short period of time. And so I know that there's a struggle always, not always, but oftentimes to find placement for some of these children.
Oh, here recently, absolutely.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's especially, I mean, if they're being, so 10 and over, right, can come through the intake and assessment. Is that correct?
At any age, actually. So
Okay.
there are some babies that come through, and there's Robert's Place where many of the older kids can go to.
Okay.
But the younger, I think 4 and younger, they have to find, actual home for them to go to.
So it's not just the juvenile, it's child needed care as well?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that...
They go to 2 separate places, yeah.
Gotcha. So
Yes.
that's run through the sheriff's department?
It is.
Okay.
Yes. I don't think it is in many jurisdictions, but here in Wyandotte County it actually is.
Okay. And so how has your office been affected by, if there is no placement for Johnny who's 15 years old? What does that look
Stays
like?
in that office.
Wow.
In that little tiny office that they're currently in at the sheriff's office. That's what happens. They've had some that stay for a few days in that
Whoa.
they just can't find a placement for them because of their background or whatever. And it's sad.
It
It's
is.
sad. It's It's heartbreaking to see those kids that come through and some of the things they've been through. So traumatic.
And you just feel
How's
like...
that possible?
Yeah, you feel like they're being re-traumatized as they're going through the system because there's, I mean, to not have a placement, it's like you're taking me out of the home and then I have nowhere to go.
Yeah, no way to love me. I mean, the stories I hear, I cannot believe that someone, what happened to that person to make that person do that to a small baby or a young child. I could almost cry thinking about it because it's so bad. It's so bad. So I just want to take them and hug them and love them. I'm like, I'll take them home with me. I will.
Yeah.
Because it is hard. It's hard to find families that can take them. And
well, so we
amazed.
absolutely have a crisis right now, right? There's not enough foster families,
Right.
and there's lots of kids who are in custody, and there's no place to put them.
Right.
And so my question is, are your officers trained? Like, do you do training regarding removal and those types of situations? Does the sheriff's office deal with the actual removal process?
They do sometimes, but a lot of it is with the police department.
Okay.
They do the bulk of it, I believe.
Because that would be called police protective custody.
Right, correct.
And so the sheriff's office, they really don't do a lot of it?
No, I mean, we don't have that many officers out in the field.
Okay.
Or deputies out in the field as so much as the police department does. So they do the bulk of that.
Okay.
And then they bring the child in, and then that's when they find placement for them for the 72-hour period until that time's out.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I know that there's a struggle to find families that can do that, and I'm amazed by the families that do. Some of them that already have multiple kids of their own, and then they bring in children. They have a special van, a big size van, not my minivan, but even bigger than that, to take all these kids around, and it's so amazing. But I have some friends that have been involved in the foster system and tried to help and advocate for it. And I know one of the things that they've told me is the preventative services. So up front, preserving the family, trying to keep the kids with their family, whether it be with their own parents or with a relative, to try to not disrupt the child as much. And gosh, I get that. I get that. Can you imagine? I mean, if something happened to me today and I couldn't take care of my kids, if I was in a car accident, I mean, I would want them to be in the least disruptive spot possible.
Absolutely.
And so it's the same type of thing. You just want what's best for these poor kids. They've already been through enough, so.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's going to be some more federal funding that's going to be coming down. That's going to be more so for preventative services, which I think is important.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that it's being done the right way.
Right.
Because I think that there is a mistrust, I think, with the agency at times.
Sure.
And so people may need help, but they may not be willing to ask for the help because of fear that they take your kids away.
Yeah. No kidding, it's true.
Yeah, so there's a nice balance there. I think there definitely has to be some community building and some relationship restoring and things of that sort. It's a complicated issue, but it's fascinating in a way, and I think that we can really begin to affect generations of families if we get it right.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
yeah, so it's and it's amazing how different people play a very small role in this system. So where you work, they come in.
Yeah.
You know, you do the intake. So do you have like snacks and stuff for
They
them?
do. So I mean, obviously I don't
nice.
do it, but we have specialists who deal with the children that come in,
Okay.
and they have, you know, a whole area set up. They have little baby toys and snacks and whatnot and games, and if it's a baby, they'll, you know, I get to cuddle with the baby for a second.
Oh yeah. We're holding the babies.
Bring the baby to me. I'll take care. But yeah, no, they take really great care of them, and they have a limited facility. You know, we're building the new juvenile detention center, or not correction, I don't know what they call it, but the juvenile center for across the street from the courthouse currently, and so that will be where JIAC will be placed too, and so it'll be a much larger and more adequate space for dealing with those different situations and kids of different ages.
Okay.
Because right now it's just a room about this small.
Okay.
So
wow,
it's great. This is a great office space, but
not for like
when you have 10
trauma,
kids come in too.
Trauma.
You know, there are times where they have a ton that come in.
Yeah.
And I will say I did this year for the United Way. I worked on their allocations committee, and so I was on the violence team, and so I learned so much more about different agencies that do different things, but in terms of, you know, families and children that have dealt with trauma, and well, of course, again, it breaks your heart to hear these things, that the stories that they tell you, but it's also eye-opening to see what they do.
Yeah.
With different organizations, and it was really neat, and yeah, I mean, going to the different locations, it's pretty impressive too.
You said United Way through. Okay, so you were on that board as well.
I'm not on the board. I just served as an allocation committee member. So
Okay.
they have teams that go out different areas among those violence, and you go to the different locations of different places, and then review the proposals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It was really neat. It was
really
eye-opening.
And I think that, well, I know that people don't know like what's out there.
Right.
And there's so
no idea.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things. There's so many people doing amazing things.
Yes.
But we need to make sure that we know about it.
Yeah.
So that when we have that family who calls and needs help, we can say, okay, this is where you can go.
Yes.
Or these are the resources that are available.
Right. And they all work together so well. It sounds like, at least. I mean, for the bowl, it seems like they work together really well. So
okay.
Hopefully that is the case.
Absolutely.
It seems like it. Yeah.
We want that to be the case.
Yes. Right.
Yes.